Hey everybody, it's Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today we're going to use the longer Nano Pro to show you how to make one pretty cool set of coasters and one super cool set of coasters. Let's get into it.
Let's get the party started.
Let's get the party started.
This video is sponsored by Longer, challenging you to make it better. One of the things that the Nano Pro is really good for is batching out items. They give you these little brackets that you can set up your first item with, and that way you can easily swap out each piece without having to reposition them each time. I'm going to be making two sets of coasters, and the first set is super simple with a minimal number of tools.
We'll see.
For the first set of coasters, I picked up 6 of these mini breadboards from Hobby Lobby for just a few bucks a piece. I came up with a quick design and loaded it in the Longer Laser Burn app and went to town. I purchased some pre-cut round self-adhesive pieces of cork for the bottom of the coasters. I'll leave a link to what I'm using in the description below. With the coasters done, I decided to make a base. I took a small piece of 1-inch thick mahogany and cut it to 10 inches by 5 inches. To add a little something extra to the stand, I rounded the corners and used my router to put a chamfer along the bottom edge. Then I set the angle on my miter saw to 5 degrees and set the depth stop so it would only go about 3/8 of an inch deep into my board, and then I started cutting grooves along the board that were just wide enough for the coaster to slide into. If all this seems like a bit much to tackle on the miter saw, you could always cut some thin strips of wood and space them out on your board so the coasters can fit in between them. And if you're using round coasters like I am, you might think of actually putting some thin strips on each side to keep them from rolling over. I finished up with some Odie's oil and then added some little rubber feet to the bottom to keep it from sliding around. I completely forgot to add my maker's mark to the bottom, but with the Nano Pro, it's no big deal to do it afterwards. This second set of coasters is a little bit more involved, but in my opinion is way cooler.
Only time will tell, my friends.
I rummaged up some scraps of oak that were about 3/8 of an inch thick, and I cut them down to 4.5 inch squares. I printed out a 4.5 inch circle and traced it onto my wood and started cutting them out. I used the bench sander to refine them a bit and then started engraving them on the Longer Nano Pro. The Laser Burn app already has presets for engraving on solid wood, but because the grain of this oak is so dense, I had to decrease the speed of the laser quite a bit to get the deep engraving that I wanted. The images of shields that I used are just some pics that I found online. The perfectly round engraving made my not so perfect cut stand out quite a bit, so I trimmed off the little border on each shield. After some extra sanding, I applied a few coats of spray-on lacquer and added a cork pad on the bottom of each. I thought it would be cool if the coaster stand for these mini shields looked like a mini weapon rack. So after coming up with a design on Photoshop, I cut out all the pieces on my longer Ray 5 10-watt laser. I used 3mm basswood for the design and layered each piece 3 layers thick. I overcomplicated this build by trying to create mini mortise and tenon joints, and it did work out, but I could just have easily used 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch strips of wood and pin nailed them together with butt joints.
Did he just say what I thought he said?
Before adding on that 3rd layer, I made sure to cut out some spots where I could slide in the mini axes and swords when I was finished. Alright, we're gonna hit pause here for just a minute so I can give you some exciting news. Longer didn't actually know that I was making this video at the time, and while I was editing it, they sent me an email with a coupon code to offer to you. The coupon code is BG100. That's BG100. And if you use that coupon code on their website, that'll give you an additional $100 off of your purchase of any of the sales they have going on. That's $100. That's a whole Benjamin, baby.
That's amazing.
So if you've been thinking about getting one of their new Nano portable lasers or any of their other products, hit one of the links below. Use the coupon code BG100 to get $100 off your purchase. After a little cleanup, I stained the rack with some dark water-based stain. The swords and axes are just a few images that I found online. I used some markers and paint pens to color them and then super glued them in place. Alright, both sets of our coasters are finished and I think they turned out pretty cool. Who am I kidding? This set is way cooler. Most of the tools I used was to add details to this base right here on this first set, which really isn't necessary. If you have a nice pretty piece of wood, you could get away with not adding all the rounded corners and chamfers and everything. Even this set over here, which seems much more complicated, really wasn't that bad at all. Most of the tools I used was to cut out the round pieces of wood, which you can actually buy round blanks already cut out so you don't need those tools. I really appreciate the simplistic design on these mini charcuterie or mini breadboard coasters. I think they came out really nice. And it was a super simple, quick project with minimal cost and a minimal number of tools. But I have to say that the detail that I got on these shields with the Nano Pro is absolutely incredible. Not only are they super detailed, but I was able to get a really nice deep burn on this really dense oak, and it really makes the detail on these pop. As you can see, batching out coasters for gifts or for markets is a great way to utilize your Nano Pro. If you want more details on the new longer Nano Pro, make sure to hit the links below. Let me know in the comments below which set of coasters is your favorite. And a big shout out and thank you to Longer for supporting our channel. Thank you very much for watching, be safe, and have a great day.